Well, hello, and thank you for listening to this episode of Alaska Tracy Podcast. I have no fancy jingle on this one, no Alaska Tracy Podcast intro. It's me, Tracy, diving in to share my gratitude to all of you that listen to my podcast and to you new subscribers. I want to thank you. It has been 5 years since I started the very first episode of Alaska Tracy Podcast. And boy, has my mindset changed over the last 5 years. What hasn't changed and what remains a steady in my life and my hope still remains, as it did when I started this podcast, is to inspire, enlighten, educate you to keep moving forward. My vision mapping framework that was created years ago still works today. I'm living proof, and I'm going to share a couple stories with you. First, I wanted to share the simplicity of the vision mapping framework, and people often get it confused with vision boarding. Vision boarding is a wonderful tool. It is where you take photos, pictures from magazines, and you put them on a big poster board, and then you put it somewhere where you can see it. See, when you focus on those things that you've put up, when you look at them, it triggers your subconscious and you start focusing on those things more and more. And then oftentimes they appear. Vision mapping, my framework, is very specific and intentional. It is a written out plan with realistic goals. And what I mean by that is, think of it this way. If you are generating $3,000 a month and in 90 days you want to be at $20,000, we take the time to really go deep and you tap in to your inner core, your foundation, to ask yourself really specific questions that show you that that is realistic to get there. And you map it out with details. And so oftentimes what happens is people start mapping out the details, the action steps of how they're going to achieve that goal, and realize, ooh, I don't want to take all those actions. You don't want to take all those actions. Or, wow, that maybe is a little too much of a reach. So then you can dial it back. Oftentimes people set their goals when they're doing yearly goal planning so darn high, so far out there that a month in, the frustration starts to set in because they're not seeing results. Or they start to see the results in that first month and then they start to taper off. And then the second month, they're back to living the way that they were and they're wondering why they're not moving forward. Or they're moving forward, but not quickly enough to reach that high goal that they set. So when we put the goals so far out there, it creates this sense of frustration. And oftentimes people walk away going, goal setting doesn't work. So back to the vision mapping framework. It's a very, very intentional, structured, laid out, written out plan for you to get real results. Now, the key is to implement accountability. Who are you going to be accountable to on a weekly basis, on a bi-weekly basis, on a monthly basis, so that when the shit hits the fan, because it will, right? You'll get frustrated, you'll get in fear, you'll get annoyed, you'll wonder why you're doing what you're doing, that you've got these people, this person, this coach in place that speaks the truth to you, that reminds you of your vision map, of your set intentional goals. They can ask you really specific questions to help you to either get back on track or if you need to pivot, to pivot. So I'm going to give you an example of how this works. I've been hearing this a lot because I've been focusing on this, on my vision map for years, and it's finally come to fruition, has been to complete a book on our dog Eddie. And it is, I'm almost ready to hit the publish button. I am waiting for my proof, my author's proof, to come back in the mail. Currently, I'm sitting here in Manzanillo, Mexico. It is the end of April 2022, and I'm taking a break, and I'm also coaching clients while I'm here. And I pushed really hard to get the book completed the last month. And I had it on my vision map. And what I did not, and this is the authentic truth from me, what I did not have on my vision map was what I'm going to give you today if you are looking to get a book completed. I left out these steps and I did not take these steps. And that is why it took me 10 years to write a book of about 25,000 words. Okay. And the vision mapping process is your journey, right? It's my journey. So that book kept sort of being put on the back burner, if you will, while Eddie's almost 15 now, and the time crunch was setting in to get it done. And so I pushed to get it done. So the vision map, you set your priorities, okay? So because I've been hearing a lot of, I want to write a book, I'm going to write a book from people because, of course, that's what I'm focusing on now is this book. Here is a format that I would teach, I would coach, I would consult using my vision mapping framework. A standard book that any publisher likes to look at. And I've learned all this in this process. I just took a course with Hay House, and boy, my mind was blown. So, a standard book that a publisher would even give a look at is 50,000 words to 70,000 words. That's what they consider a standard book that they would want to pick up with their publishing company to get on bookshelves. Okay. So let's say that you want to write this book and you want to do it in the next year. Let's say that it's 50,000. We're going to go on the low end, 50,000 words. And let's say you want to get it done over the next 8 months instead of the next 12 months. Okay. You want to do it in the next 8 months. You're going to give yourself some grace. Okay. You're going to write 20 days per month. Okay. 20 days per month over the next 8 months. And maybe it is a full year because it'll take a little bit of time to get it formatted, to get the graphics done for the covers, to get it copywritten, to get the IB, IBSN number and all that other stuff. So maybe it will take a year. You're going to focus those 8 months on getting that book done. Okay. You're going to allow yourself 20 days a month to write. You're going to give yourself some grace. So take 20 days times 8 months. That's 160 days. 20 days a month times 8 months, 160 days, if my math's correct, which I've been known to be wrong, but I double check my work before I hit record. I'm laughing because people often catch me on my math. Okay, and then you're going to divide it by 50,000. 160 days by 50,000 words. That equals 312.5, let's round it up, 313 words a day that you need to write to get your book of 50,000 words complete. Seems simple, doesn't it? 313 words a day for 20 days out of each month over 8 months. If you calendar those 20 days on your calendar, I'm old school. I carry a calendar with me. I write things in it. Um, if it works to write things down so that you can see it, or set an alarm on your phone. 313 word day, 20 days out of your month. I'm going to do this. You will get your book completed in 8 months. That's the way the vision mapping works. And you can use that formula for anything, for income, for health and fitness, for meditation, for growing your business. That's the formula. Take the big chunk and break it down into smaller bite-sized chunks until you feel that that number per day that you need to do is doable for your heart and soul, and then your mind will follow. That is the vision mapping formula. Adding in the action steps, the who's going to help you, the what platform do you need to write it in, where are you going to, uh, where are you going to write? And I'm funny, I'm sure I'm not alone. Seems I always need the perfect space before I can write. Guess what? When I finished Eddie's book, I sat at my desk and I typed. No, I didn't. I was here in Manzanillo. I'm sorry. I had a editor. I was paying her. I believe she was more of a coach for me, and I was accountable to her for the 10 days to finish up the book that I was here in Manzanillo, and I wrote every day, and I checked in with her. Okay. And some days it was 5 minutes, some days it was a half an hour, and I finished it. So the who, what, where, when, how, and why. Your why is why are you doing what you're doing? And if you can incorporate other people, meaning this book for Eddie is meant for you. It's meant to inspire and help anybody that's felt abandoned, that's felt lonely. Eddie's journey is about learning to love and let go and live a life filled with joy. Your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? And how can it benefit others? if you put that second part onto all of your goals, how will this benefit others? You will have an easier time creating your action steps. When I was in real estate, I forgot that piece and I was about making money. And I forgot about how can this impact other people? How can this provide for others? What can this do for others? And I was so busy chasing the money and the goals and upping the goals that I reached the goals and my stress level was out of control. If you can add that piece, how will this benefit others? What can this provide for others? You will have an easier time creating your action steps and taking those action steps because the fear will set in. Death of family and friends will set in. Life will set in, and you will want to avoid those actions. You will wonder why you're doing what you're doing. If you set your foundation really strong, your why really strong, and you put that accountability piece in place, who are you accountable to? Not your husband, not your spouse, not your partner, not your best friend, that person that's not vested in you that can speak the truth to you, that can piss you off and hurt your feelings by asking you really questions that allow you to dig deep within. That's the most important piece, is that accountability piece. That person that is okay with hurting your feelings by asking you questions to help you seek your truth. Okay? And so on my vision map, as many of you have heard, if you've listened to these episodes, has been the book, completing the book, and living near the ocean, which again, I didn't put these steps in place. I was accountable to a coach um, and a spiritual advisor, and I looked at every single day a photo that I had of an ocean with whales and a volcano, and here we are with a condo that we spent our honeymoon at, from my very first client back 22 years ago when I started my first business. She gifted us this condo for our honeymoon, and here we are owning this condo right on the ocean with whales in front of us. And there's a volcano here. You can't make this shit up. uh, it was 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, that I bought this piece of art in Kona that I look at every single day on the ocean. And here I am. How is that even possible? Is it woo woo? It is taking actions, creating a plan, taking actions, trusting in something outside of yourself. I say God for me, trusting in, sometimes God appears in nature, sometimes God appears in other people. Trusting, believing in something outside of yourself so that you're not running the show. Leaning into that and doing a boatload, because I'm looking at boats right now, a boatload, a bucket load of actions, doing the work, getting dirty, getting messy, walking through fears, walking through all sorts of things, messiness, to get to that goal. And I believe there's no end result. I believe that the goal along the way is often beyond your wildest dreams. It showed up for me in my life. I've watched it happen in other people's lives by doing this vision mapping system. So there's your gift for the day. I ask you, what is your goal over the next 90 days? And to do the process that I just lined out. And if you want to be accountable, let's have a conversation. My conversations with you are conversations. I mean that. Let's have a conversation. Let's lay it out there. Let's have a conversation and see how serious you are to digging deep, to taking the actions that will, I know for certain, move you closer, if not exceed your dreams, your visions, your goals. That's my treat for you from my condo in Manzanillo on the ocean. My hope for you on this episode is that you're inspired to move closer to living a life that fulfills you, that ignites your soul, that is beyond what you could have ever imagined. As my friend likes to say, he said to me one day, he said, well, you're not imagining big enough then. Imagine big, beautiful, wonderful things. Take actions, believe, let go, and reach out to somebody, whether it's me or somebody else that you can be accountable to. You can book an appointment, a discovery call with me, a conversation with me, alaskatracy.com. You'll see my calendar on there. Thank you for the 5 years of Alaska Tracy podcast. Enjoy today, wherever you are. Until the next episode.